intuition. It's like a wobbling within the movement of life, delaying action, making time for an expanse of awareness, enriched by curiosity and timidity. Hesitation need not be an abrupt interruption in the flow of life, but an ebb which widens and complicates. The method of intuition of Bergson is dependent on an enriching hesitation that I would call a moving or dynamic hesitation. Hesitation is an ambiguous term that Bergson used to refer to a qualitative multiplicity of divergent tendencies. Our hesitations can be morally enriching when they facilitate a redirecting of the flow of violent emotions and reactions. But they can also go to the extreme with indecision, an interruption of the flow of intensity or resolution necessary in human life and community. Bergson, even at one point, deploys Pierre Genet's term psychasthenia, a name for chronic indecision, which is a debilitating hesitation that is the result of an unhealthy weakness in one's psychical tension. The daydreamer drifts off and feels no pressure to decide anything, sees no choices. The ambitious, industrious type, who live in action, generally don't stop to think, make hasty decisions without hesitation. We hesitate because we are mobile, because we are mortal. Our useful indecision measures our degree of freedom. Human life is marked by a hesitation that proceeds into uncertainty, that gropes in the dark to find its way, that stretches its imagination beyond its capacity. It is our indecision, above all, that proves to us that we have the power to decide. How can we doubt our freedom when a decision is being demanded of us, when we bear its weight and we hesitate? Action, deliberately acting with intention, always involves a halo of hesitation and indecision. Even the flow state of an athlete or a musician is never complete. There is always some need to adapt and for finesse, to be awake and aware and seeing what's going on. Our intelligence is there to gently guide and redirect our movement. Human action always mixes knowledge, know-how, confidence, with the uncertainty, contingency, and hope involved in chance. Action is a hesitation and is enriched by the right hesitations. Hesitation is most common in the face of novelty and tends to fade and disappear entirely in habit, routine, and familiarity. Where we hesitate, and conversely, where we lose all inhibitions, reveals our horizon of mastery and understanding. The true intellect, according to Bergson, is intelligence at work on the edge of the known and the unknown, a forward-moving hesitation that has neither a precise plan nor merely proceeds recklessly, mixing improvisational experimentation with adaptive methodological technique development. Neither strictly procedural nor purely an emotional release, but a resoluteness that remains open while advancing into the unknown. Kitaro Nishida, evolving Bergsonian ideas, called this an acting intuition, which he saw as exemplified in the Zen arts. While somnambulance, sleepwalking, shows us that complex human actions can be executed without conscious oversight, such a life without hesitation, is reduced to reenacting pre-programmed automations like a machine. Bergson only employed this notion of hesitation a handful of times across his corpus, and its value seemed to increase towards the end of his life, where he equates hesitation with both duration and consciousness itself. He admits that he himself hesitated to use the word intuition, that the very coining of this famously Bergsonian term itself emerged from the concrete, intuitive hesitation which it names. In his last book, The Two Sources of Morality and Religion, Bergson takes hesitation as a theme while developing his critique of moral theories of duty and obligation. Hesitation's correlation with consciousness and intelligence proves to have an ambivalent role in our concrete sense of obligation, neither founding our sense of obligation, as Kant thinks, nor always capable of opposing it. Moral conscience is the hesitation that indefinitely delays our urge to do what's easy, convenient, or exploitative. It is the interruption of these tendencies. Bergson's continued devaluation of habit is due entirely to the fact that habit tends to preclude hesitation. On the one hand, a Kantian duty is, ideally, without hesitation. It immediately follows the moral law. But this makes moral conscience irrelevant, and eternal, unchanging rectitude of reason eclipses the reality of hesitation as the enactment of moral conscience in the flow of deciding. There is no duty at all for a divine will that acts without hesitation. All duty involves both the setting up and overcoming of certain inhibitions. We often hesitate before facing a duty that demands certain sacrifices in hopes of avoiding it. Bergson rejects the Kantian interpretation that makes overcoming hesitation what he labels a resistance to the resistance, the essence of duty and moral life. Intellect is not the source of morality, but rather feeling. And feeling has a unique relation to hesitation that intelligence does not, since intelligence is generally cybernetic, practical, aimed at useful control and automation. Feeling is inventive and feels within duration. It arrests us, delays all further action, and bids us to take a detour in sympathy and imagination. Following Guyot, Bergson argues that moral affects, like obligation, have their root in a, quote, lasting impulse, in a sublime obsession. In The Two Sources of Morality and Religion, Bergson says, the human is the only animal whose actions are uncertain, who hesitates, gropes about and lays plans in hopes of success and the fear of failure. He is alone in realizing that he is subject to illness, alone in knowing that he must die. The rest of nature goes on its expanding course in absolute tranquility. Although plants and animals are the sport of chance, they rely on the passing hour as they would on eternity. We drink in something of this unshakable confidence during a country walk, from which we return quieted and soothed. The habits of contemporary life minimize our enriching hesitations and foster unhealthy indecision. Think about doom scrolling, or rage bait, or reactionary discourse, or the immense helplessness we feel in the face of the expanding polycrisis. I encourage you to slow down, take a second look, try to shift your perspective to a new horizon of possibilities. Try to notice what possibilities are being foreclosed by your habits and automatic reactions. Try to come up with new ways to frame the situation, new concepts to understand it, deeper insights into the complex dynamics at play. Hesitate without indecision, a hesitation free from inhibition, an active intuition, which is at once tranquil and open, as well as lively and decisive. Conversely, think about how hesitations might be holding you back, foreclosing your horizon of possibilities. Where might a release of inhibition foster growth and enrichment on a level personal, philosophical, or in your community?